world's been opening up a little bit more.
Yeah.
People are getting exposed to not just potentially COVID, but any virus out there, and colds, and kids are bringing back to my house, are bringing things home, bugs home that they, that we haven't seen in 2 years,
Exactly.
And so right now we have a little regimen going, and maybe I was just looking for some personal advice, but we've been using the spray.
MyCoShield, yeah.
The MyCoShield spray, the peppermint or cinnamon one. And that's just like, I give them a couple sprays every day before they head off to school, and it's great. And then if we start feeling something, or we start coming down with something, or we're a little under the weather, or we didn't sleep so well, then I pull out the extract and everybody gets a little dose of that. But I don't know, is that overkill, or does that seem like a good protocol?
By the extract, are you talking about the MyCommunity Extract?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 17 mushroom mix. No, that sounds perfect. To me, it's like, especially with the younger ones, like 4 and up, like 2 sprays in the morning, that's good for them. For us bigger people, you may want to take like 3 or 4 sprays 3 or 4 times a day, because we run into lots of people, like especially if we're out or like in a customer service experience where you're just interacting with lots of people. That's a great way to just keep that immune system up and running and balanced. It's the peppermint and cinnamon. There are a couple other flavors too. They make it super easy to take.
They're also great for your like breath and your inside. It's like almost like an internal deodorant. It's lovely.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
And then, that's what the MyCommunity is there for, when you're like, I'm feeling a little bit off. I want to just give myself a little bit of an extra boost. And that's really what that MyCommunity is there for.
Yeah. So can you had described Stamets 7 as sort of the daily kind of, let's call it food for your immune system.
It's
like
great to add to a smoothie,
but so tell us about MyCommunity, which is the sort of more intense product.
Stamets 7 is equal parts to 7 mushrooms. MyCommunity is a formula with different amounts of 17 different mushrooms, and it's just so complex. So from the research that we have so far, what it does appear to do is it appears to potentially trigger a group of different immune receptors that then further engage that immune response. We do see a full range of activity in terms of the immune response. So it helps and supports immune engagement. It supports the communication of the immune cells to kind of help it work even better. And more specifically, it supports immune modulatory activity too. And one of the things I didn't talk about with the other mushrooms, but it appears to be active for all of the products we've tested so far. Host defense products support tissue regenerative activity, not just immune tissue. It triggers this one messenger called VEGF, which is vascular endothelial growth factor. And VEGF is one of the molecules that tells our bodies to create new tissue, but also new neurological tissue. So it just helps the body do better. Like it just like, okay, our body is like, oh yeah, this is like in healthy individuals too. So it's just like tells your body, let's grow, let's flourish, let's just be optimal in our day-to-day functioning. And I love that. Like that's just some really cool information there, right? So
one of the things that you just triggered one of my favorite topics right now. I'm not claiming this about host defense, but in general, you're sort of talking about when you and I were growing up, the idea was you hit a certain age and you can't regenerate certain things anymore, and that bone doesn't grow. The brain is sort of set in its ways and damage done.
Nerves, if you damage a nerve, it never regrows.
Yeah,
I mean, that's old school stuff.
I was gonna say, but like I think that there's a lot of people, and even myself, I know that that's not true anymore, but there's a certain degree to which we built that in our thinking. And I feel like, I just keep being confronted with this evidence of amazing regeneration. I was reading the book about breathing, and it talks about jaw regeneration of people in their 60s and 70s, where they're doing these jaw exercises, and they're doing detectable. At Stanford, they were detecting like 30% increase in jaw bone mass, which is like people in their 60s, which is so awesome. So you're bringing up one of my favorite themes, and just the idea that this could be part of that puzzle of how do we keep ourselves flourishing is so exciting. Longevity.
Yeah, this is the crux of it, right? So when we take a look at like traditional Chinese medicine, like reishi and cordyceps, these mushrooms were used to help people experience healthy long life. It's like reishi is called the mushroom of longevity, like it's the imperial tonic. But we know this about many of the different mushrooms. Not only are they adaptogens, they help us adapt to stress and function better. They just help our bodies function better. We have these states, like we have a state of anabolism or anabolic functioning. We have a state of catabolic or catabolism. Catabolism is when things break down, and anabolic functions are when we build things up. Like a lot of people think of this as like when they're talking about hormones, and that's not the case at all. It's just a general state in the human body, right? And there are just some things that help the body function better and create more tissue, and they help us rejuvenate. It's not like I'm 100 and I look like I'm 30. That's ridiculous, right? No, this is like our bodies do this beautiful dance in our lives of replenishing themselves, of creating daughter cells and then more daughter cells. And if we have optimal nutrition and we have like low stress experiences, if we have moderate movement and exercise, if we breathe well and we're well hydrated, these are all the things in the day-to-day world that create optimal functioning on a cellular and systemic level. And mushrooms fit into this holistic approach to wellness, and that they provide many of these really specific compounds to mushrooms themselves. Like a lot of these compounds aren't found in the herbs, but what they do is they help this optimal functioning in day-to-day life. So they have their place. They're not panaceas, right? They're not magic wands. Like we want to take this holistic approach to our health and wellness, but we definitely want to plug them into the equation.